That's and this will come in from now.
You know, we can like feel.
Okay.
I'm going to take Tom's 5.
So I'm looking at you or the camera?
I'm sorry?
Should I be looking at you or the camera?
Either one. The camera's fine.
Hello, my name is Clare Murphy and I'm a storyteller. My dad was an actor. There's a lot of different, I get asked this question a lot. There are a lot of different factors that cause me to become a storyteller. I've always written. Since I can hold a pen I've been writing. So I always wrote stories. And then I was always told stories by my parents, but then when I came back to Ireland, I was living in the States a few years, and I came back to Ireland, I met a woman who was a storyteller. I actually looked her up because I heard storytelling was a job, and I thought, it's crazy, you can make money storytelling, it's wild. There was nothing happening in Galway, and there were no stories, and I know people like stories, so I thought I'll give it a go. And as soon as I started it, it was a snowball effect, it just took off. So I kept getting offered work, so what are you going to do? You're not going to say no. I tell stories from every culture. Myths, legends, folk tales, personal stories, history stories. It's just that this set is geared at the Celtic idea. And yeah, I love the big myths. I like the folk tales too, like what Rav tells, I love those as well. But I was raised on the myths, and they're enchanting, and they're really beautiful, and it's nice to honour them, to bring them to light again, because Irish people respond to that and they say, I haven't heard this since I was 6, and thank you for telling it. You know, it's part of what we came from. You know, it's part of the fabric of what created this culture. This culture is very different. So I love telling them, but I do tell a lot of other stuff too. Life got very fast here. Storytelling used to happen in people's houses or in pubs. Now the pubs are too loud, there's no room for stories. There's still traditional music sessions, very little storytelling. And the old Swannock that would travel from house to house, there's still some of them around, but that generation is now dying off, basically. And also people don't really invite other people into their houses anymore. We've moved into another type of culture. But it is going through a revival. Storytelling is becoming popular, and I can see it with my own work. There's a huge response to it. Young people respond to it, all ages respond to it. There was this fear that it was for older people and no one else cared. It's not the case. It is coming back. It just has to find its place in modern culture. You have to give it a modern context, but you can still tell the old stories as long as you make them relevant. I can just read it a couple of times, and then sometimes I can just tell it. But usually I like to rehearse it with Rab or with a friendly audience that you can feel the rhythm of it. But sometimes I need only hear a story once. Sometimes I would, with a lot of the myths, I read several versions to see all the different aspects, take the sides I like of it. You know, because there's loads of variations of every story, as you know. They have Fionn McCool fighting Cuchulainn in one story I read, which is not possible because they didn't exist at the same time. But, you know, so you read all the versions you can, and then you find you will inhabit the story. So you find your rhythm with it, and the way you tell it is going to be, the way Rab would tell it, the way I would tell it, become completely different, you know. And then I tell it, and it finds a life of its own on stage then, for as long as it wants to be told, and then I put it away when it's done. It can be anything, it just has to call to me. It's like, why do you like certain songs? You know, why do certain movies just appeal to you? There's no one common thread, but something in it when I'm reading it makes me go, and then I can tell it. I won't tell something that doesn't move me, because then I won't move you, so it makes no sense. I always have a favourite, it just changes all the time. I don't know what my favourite would be at the moment. I have a favourite myth, I suppose, which is the love story of Dermot and Grania at the moment, but again, my favourite story overall is changing all the time. So.
My name is Swannock Fulton, and I'm a storyteller. I've been telling stories since I was a child. There were stories all around when I was a child. So, and what I've been doing tonight, this is work I've been working on with Clare, the other storyteller, and we've been working together for a year now. But we've both been storytelling beyond that. But this project we're doing now, the myths and folklore of Ireland, is something we've been working on quite intensely now for a year. I mean, there's the characters. I mean, there's so many stories in Scotland about Fionn McCool. I mean, Fionn McCool, he had a great fight in Scotland with one of the giants up in Skye, and they changed the landscape there when they were fighting, and they made all the Cuchulainn's up in Skye, And Deirdre of the Sorrows, who's from one of the stories in the north of Ireland, she comes to Scotland as well. So there's all this, the characters, and even the folk tales, like the folk tales. I was brought up with folk tales that I hear in Ireland, folk tales, with Irish folk tales, and I know, no, I was brought up with these Scottish folk tales. So there is a lot of interchange between the two countries. Yeah. I've been in Ireland now 8 years. No, I've travelled around Scotland and I've travelled around Ireland. That's all I've done. So I intend to get to America at some point. I think the stories, either if I hear a story or I read a story or research a story, I need to get inside the story. And I need to find something in it. And if that means changing the story or just taking one thread and then going with it, that's what I do. So I have to be inside, I have to sit inside the story and feel it. If the story's wonderful and brilliant but I can't get inside it, I just don't do it. And you'll notice that Clare and I actually do very different types of stories. You know, I focus more on the folklore, she focuses more on the myth. But there is a bit, she does folklore and I do myth stuff as well at Ocean. But it's we definitely have our own kind of genres that we step into. And every story has an element of truth in it, you know. I mean, like the Ocean story with St. Patrick, there is an element of truth in that, in the Christian church when it came to Ireland, and indeed the Christian church when it went to South America, it took local non-Christian traditions and used them to embed their own power. And so in a sense, the Ocean and St. Patrick's story is about that. It's about Christianity using pagan power to embed itself and then destroying paganism, or attempting to destroy paganism. So there's a truth in there even though it's a myth. But again, we all, I mean, if you're sitting on a bus and something happens, the person beside you will remember it in a different way. But both of you have a truth there, you know. You just have to keep writing and keep writing and keep writing, you know. And with myself, I find a lot of writers like to think of themselves as lonely figures out doing their thing. And there is very lonely when you get there, the pen and the paper. In my case, I always work with a blank paper and a pencil. I love the feel of a pencil. I tried writing on a computer for years and I just couldn't do it. It didn't work. And I went back to using just a pencil and paper and took off again. And but I found for myself as a writer, I need an audience that I feed off and get stuff back from, and I also need a creative partner. Just, you know, with Clare just now, and I've had other creative partners that I bounce off, and I need that. Writers need to be aware of their ego. Your ego is very important to make you write. But if your ego isolates you from other folks' creativity and skills and criticisms, then you're just going to disappear up your own backside, basically. And I have done that, so I know. There is a private moment when you're writing, you have to do it by yourself. But I kind of, I'm not so, you know, once something's written, I'm quite happy getting, like, you know, in my blog, just I'm blogging up the novel as I write it. And I'm quite happy for folk to read that, and I'm very, very happy that lots of folk are reading it, and it's great, I'm getting lots of feedback from it. But I will change it once I mean, you know, after I've written the next part, I'll probably change all that again. So I quite like the idea that folk are engaging with my work, they can see my work changing.